short arms, long short arms, and every day. So I want to, if you were friends, for the first 5 minutes we warm up, 15 minutes drill, water break, now you have rolling arms. Those guys, as long as they drill, you don't need your chase.
I think they're reviewing it.
They're doing their drills every day, and then she'll warn you. Do something weird, but all they do is have the structure every day. Every day.
So let's see what it feels like to host the show. Yeah, I did. So I did the interview with Al Ferguson, so now I'm feeling real good.
I'll just tell you exactly how we want to do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Break it down for the
Let's get ready to rumble. What does John McCarthy say?
Okay, so Jacksonville got the kickoff and must have fumbled or intercepted or something. And Janikowski just fixed that.
So it is still going?
That one's over.
Okay.
Now let's see. This one's over now.
Okay.
So what does John McCarthy say?
Let's get it out.
No, but oh, you ready? You ready? Let's get it out. There we go. What do you say?
I just say, are you ready? Are you ready? Let's fight.
Let's fight?
Fight, yeah.
What we should do?
Joe Mason doesn't want us doing
anything like that.
Well, he says you can say stuff, but don't try to get like a tagline or something crazy. You can say whatever you want to say, but don't.
All right, stand by. We got like a minute and a half here.
Okay.
All right.
Come on back, Steve.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, I really am. I'm not scared.
Bill Torres, I'm holding the fort down.
Yep.
Steve Alley
Holding
walks
the
back
fort.
in the door.
Okay, we got about 90 seconds, guys.
We're the masters of one. See for yourself.
90 seconds.
Now well-qualified current lessees can get a low-mileage lease on the.
Well, we should actually get a recording of you saying something like that too. I thought.
Okay. Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
That's my memory just went blank.
You're welcome to hang out, or you can hang out in here. Whichever one you want. We could do the UFC. If you maybe do a podcast.
No, but did you? I put a little deal of Twitter on Facebook. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Do one of these things.
That I thought that deal should be overturned if he there was banned substance.
30 seconds.
Oh, he said we overturned that deal.
Yeah.
And it's a no contest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool, man. You're a prophet.
Open 7 days a week and online 24/7 at HavanaAutoParts.com. 3 locations to serve you: Colfax and Chambers, Hampton and Tower, or 901 South Havana. Check out Havana Auto Parts.
1023, 1055, ESPN.
What's up? This is Matt Hughes. Hey, this is Frank Shamrock. This is UFC President Dana White. Hey guys, this is Brennan, the Hybrid Shop.
Ronda Rousey, and you're listening to MMA Meltdown on ESPN Radio.
Are you ready?
And welcome right here on 1023 ESPN MMA Meltdown. Steve Alley, Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, and in the studios tonight, our very special guest, former featherweight Bellator champion Joe Warren. Gentlemen, good to be with you tonight.
Always good to be here.
All ready for a fun time.
Thanks for having me.
Joe Warren, wow. In the studio right here. We're going to talk to him in round number 3. Going to talk nothing but mixed martial arts right here, and combative sports, of course, right here on the program tonight. So we've got Joe Warren. We'll also talk to Factory X trainer and the head over there, Mark Montoya. We'll also get a call from UFC top fighter, really, from this area, Chris Camozzi, who also trains out of Factory X. And we'll talk to Joey Guerra, who won his main event bout at the recently concluded Kickdown 104 Boom on Friday night here in Denver, Colorado. A lot to go over, so let's get right to it. We just talked about this, Tom, off the air, so we're going to get to that immediately. Jake Shields, Ed Herman, overturned.
Overturned.
He had a banned substance when he fought against Ed Herman, and a lot of people, I guess, voiced their displeasure with that, and now it's been overturned and now ruled a no contest. So probably a good thing for Ed Herman. I mean, you don't want that loss going against your record. Your thought on that?
Well, you know, I think that I saw the fight. I was there cage side watching it, and I didn't see an enhanced performance by Jake Shields. I mean, he won the fight. He wore him down and won the fight, but didn't seem like he was in super awesome shape or did anything spectacular. So I don't know what the story was.
Joe Warren, did you see that fight?
I didn't. I saw highlights, didn't see the fight, but you know, Ed, I mean, they overturned that. That's a payday for him also, and it brings him back up in the rankings. So I mean, it's great for Ed. I'm not exactly sure what was in his system. It all depends, you know. I understand that, and then you know, all depends on performance enhancing or non-performance. You know, even a strong coffee might get them some it all depends on what state you're in, really.
And also the testosterone replacement that a lot of fighters will do. There's a certain level that they're allowed to have. I'm wondering if maybe that.
But that also needs to be passed by the commission of each state before you fight. So if you are an older fighter like myself, I could go through this. I just I don't want to deal with all the headache of it, you know. But yeah, you know, there's replacement, and if you do that, then as long as you're okayed by the commission, I mean, that's what a lot of these older guys, you know, they get after it.
Speaking of that, Chael Sonnen is a huge advocate of testosterone replacement, and he makes no bones about it. I sat in on the interview, and we'll talk a little bit about that later in this broadcast, about the new coaches of the upcoming season of The Ultimate Fighter. We can get into that now. John Jones, Chael Sonnen. A lot of people thought, hey, why him? Why is he going to get that instead of maybe Dan Henderson? But Dana White made it clear, and had I gotten to talk to him, I would have said, look, I would have preferred Dan Henderson, and I know a lot of other people might have. Why Chael Sonnen? My thought on that is it's kind of brilliant on behalf.
Well, they're both good friends of mine, you know, Dan and Chael, you know, and Dan has no hard feelings on Chael with that whole thing.
Well, they trained together, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, remember Dan and Chael and me, we all lived here in Denver. I mean, in Colorado Springs for times. Right. Randy, Dan, Matt Lindeland. When I came in, those were the guys that were the guys in front of me. So natural progression. But Chael was also one of us. And after that whole thing went down with Dan, he hurt his knee, you know, Chael started talking again, you know, and that's how you do it. I mean, that's the difference with UFC and Bellator. You know, I mean, Bellator, you have to earn a title, and UFC, if you're a fast talker, and, you know, maybe you're going to get another one, you know what I mean?
Financially, it's about who's going to sell the most tickets and who's going to get...
That's exactly what it is. It's a financial thing, you know, absolutely. He's going to sell more tickets than Dan.
Yeah,
certainly.
That's true.
You know, that's what it came to.
And if you think about it, Dan and Chael, I mean, they both have a very similar fighting style. They're similar in size.
Yeah, but one can knock a wall down when he hits it.
That's very true. That's very true.
You know, Dan hits like a semi-truck.
Let's talk to Joey Guerra, who's calling in now. He won his main event bout at Kickdown 104, and you get that first professional victory under your belt against a tough fighter, Cruz Soltero Jr., who is really like a third-generation fighter from that family. Joey Guerra, welcome to MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN.
Hello, how you guys doing?
We're good. So you get the victory, and I'm sure you feel great. It, I think, was done in the first 4 minutes or earlier, and just a good show altogether, Joe. And tell us about the fight, and then maybe what's next for you.
How many amateur fights did you have? Oh, you started as a pro. That's a man right there.
Good work by you against a really tough kid in Cruz Soltero Jr. Tell everybody where you train, how you got prepared for that fight, because on the local level, I think people and fighters need to know where they might be able to start, what to do, how to get moving so they can turn pro and maybe get on a smaller show, if you will, or a show that has done many events but showcased new talent both professionally and as amateurs? Good fighters out of there. One Brian Marinick, a good one there, and of course yourself and others. Dwayne Ludwig is also one of the principals over there, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, you finished that fight with some good ground and pound. Why don't you tell us about it?
Joe, was it any mistake that you took that to the ground pretty much immediately, because it looked like his striking, like his family and predecessors was very good, and it looked like you took the hint immediately, took it to the ground, and thus the fight ended. You walked out victorious. Well, I'll tell you, we look for the return of you at future events, and that fight Friday night was a good one, but really that LT Nelson at Fight to Win and you was just classic, and hopefully we'll see you around the corner in this region and maybe beyond, so congratulations to you. Thanks for joining us. Joey Guerra, who won in the main event at Kickdown 104 on Friday night, pretty good fighter, a muscled up guy, took on, and Sotero made his professional debut. You know, we went over that last week, when you're ready, when you should, who you should fight. So I'll ask you, Joe Warren, former featherweight professional champion of Bellator, when should a guy go pro?
Yeah, it's completely different, I think. I have a whole different mindset on this now than when I started.
Did you fight as an amateur?
Never. My first fight I fought in Dream against Chase Beebe. He had the belt in WEC at the time, so
quite an inauguration there.
Yeah, so I was snowboarding on Aspen and got a call from Dan asking me to fight, and it was like 3 weeks later.
Welcome to MMA.
Yeah, so it was like, it was craziness. So yeah,
hey, Joe Warren, are you ready for Chase Beebe?
I said,
let me put the snowboard down.
He's a wrestler, I'll kick his ass. That's what I said. So it should have been a pro.
Man.
I split his 15 staples in his forehead, caught him with a knee. And then I had, that was the featherweight world championship. So the next month I fought Kid Yamamoto, and the next month I fought 2 fights in one night, did Bibiano, that Bibiano fight. So yeah, it was tough, but it was really financially really good for me.
Sure,
so and then fighting, Kid Yamamoto my first month into fighting was 58,000 people. It was a good time, man.
Very good. Let's talk about the recently concluded Kickdown 104, and I'll go through the results very quickly. You heard Joey Guerra on the phone. He fought in the main event against Cruz Soltero Jr., and he wins by referee stoppage due to strikes in the first round. In the co-main event, and I had just talked to Tom Johnson, to Joe Warren, and to Mike Larita about this, Ben Vombar, who I was not very familiar with, and neither was anybody else, fought in the co-main event, and boy did he put on a show and a display and won a unanimous decision against previously undefeated Brandon Royval. And I have to tip my hat to him because that fight was absolutely awesome. A wrestler that came in and did everything right and walked out of there. And Brandon Royval, a great little fighter in his own right at 135. And really, Vombar, nobody really knew, Mike, came in at 135 when he really fights at 125. It's just a wonderful display.
Yeah, and he came in with his wrestling ability and he is one of the assistant coaches up at UNC. So he came in ready to go, and anytime he got into any little bit of trouble, he could take him down at any time. And I've always told people at will, you know, if you can take a kid down at will anytime you need to in a fight. You know, if you're in any trouble, you can take him down. If you're feeling okay, you can take him down. But that's what controlled that fight for him, and he just totally dominated the fight.
I think more and more well, at least what I'm seeing here on the fights that I'm repping is the guys who are more like boxer, wrestler types, so that they have the wrestling ability and they can throw the hands, or they have the upper hand. They're kind of dominating, in my opinion.
As a wrestler, you know, I understand strike and a fighter now. I understand the striking and the wrestling background, and I had a mindset like you know, take them down whenever there's a problem. You know, but I was also competing against guys that knew that was the only thing I had. So I ran into a lot of shit sometimes, dropping my head when I shouldn't have. Now learning how to strike into a takedown is safety. You know, so you see a wrestler that's good with not standing that distance and striking, but a guy that can close distance while striking and then take them down, throw a few punches first. Those are those wrestlers, that mindset. You know, it's tough to beat.
Well, certainly, and I agree, because what you're doing is you're really developing your wrestling. Just it's a new setup.
Well, that's what we do at Rhino Sport Gallery. I teach MMA wrestling. It's completely different than wrestling. You understand? It's striking wrestling. You know, it's almost like submission wrestling, but it's different.
Which is good.
Kind of like we were talking about teaching a boxer how to strike in MMA against a grappler.
Yeah.
Right. Further down the card, 2 fighters came in with combined record of total of 60 fights. Anthony Warner came in at 20-20 at Kickdown 104 as an amateur, and he took on Mitch Peterson 15-5 for the vacated lightweight amateur title previously held by Cody Connell, who was 7-0 and will make his pro debut on Bobby Lashley's show next weekend. Mitch Peterson is the new lightweight champion who pulled off a half Nelson neck crank, which was the strangest, oddest submission I've ever seen in 10 years. Congratulations to him for submission of the night and the newly crowned champion. And then Cassie Robb fought Lily Orozco for the first ever women's atomweight amateur title, and Cassie Robb wins in the first round by rear naked choke. Congratulations to her on making history within that promotion. And then on the flip side of that, we had other fights like Dean Burley took on the Stefan Struve of Kickdown, Jeremiah Barnes, who was 6'10" and 200 pounds. And Burley did a wonderful job after getting kind of pounded a little bit for the first round, but he came in and secured. Eric Hines stopped the fight because the Stefan Struve of Kickdown, Jeremiah Barnes, would not tap, and to limit any damage to his arm, stopped the fight.
Through the armbar.
Through the armbar. And it was odd, but that's how it went down, and good fight. And then Tyler Garcia took on Teddy Holt, and he won in the first round by referee stoppage due to strikes. We'll talk more about that show and with our special guest right here in the studio in round number 3 tonight on the broadcast, Joe Warren. Interesting to talk to you about not only fighting, the things that you've seen, wrestling. You wrestled at Michigan, and there's some other pretty fine fighters that came out of Michigan also that...
Go blue, baby, go blue.
Yeah, hint, fought in Pride and other places. So we'll talk more about that in round number 3. We will talk with Mike Larita, and he will go over the upcoming Sparta, talk about the wrestling program that is a charity, and we'll get some people involved in that. And we'll talk about much, much more right here on MMA. You're listening to 102.3 ESPN, MMA Meltdown, Steve Alley, Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, and the special guest in the studio, former Bellator featherweight Joe Warren, when we return.
102.3 ESPN.
Good segment. Good start.
Yeah. Round 1 is in the books. You notice I'm a lot happier because New England won.
Yeah.
So are you a big fan of Michigan still?
You mean?
You know, because you're a former
lead red, white, and blue, and maize and blue. So.
Boy, you know, I don't think, and I've not been
Brady
to
and I
that
were
part.
friends. We grew up to. I mean, we lived in the same dorm, same.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he cool, or is
Me,
he?
Brady,
Or
Charles
has he kind of got his
Woodson.
head up his ass?
No, I mean he was
Cool?
hurt the whole Michigan career. He only played like 6 games ever.
Good.
He was
I mean-
hurt. His elbows hurt.
Did he back up Greasy?
And then he was beat. Well, he
Yeah.
He says
He
it.
shouldn't have backed him up. He was better than him, but he hurt his thumb.
And time's proven that out.
Big
Oh,
pull,
hell yeah.
Greasy back from his fifth year. Didn't play.
Hey man, if you're a pro team like New England and that great owner Kraft, who would you want for your poster child on the team? Tom
It's
Brady.
easy to say that now, but at the
Yeah.
time.
No, I know, but
I mean, all of our friends. He was the last one recruited.
Yeah.
I mean,
You hear
drafted.
it all though how lucky
I'm just
things
saying, he
turned.
was out of
Yeah.
all the guys.
It's,
Yeah, I remember this.
hey, you know what? There is a lot of truth to being at the right place at the right time.
Well, yeah, if it wasn't for Bledsoe getting hurt, who knows how long he'd have sat on the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a lot.
Okay, we got Kamosi on. He's actually on hold right now.
Good, we'll get
See,
him first.
Kamosi, he's teammates with me.
Is he?
Yeah, he trained with me.
Yeah.
At Rhino
He,
Sport
no, I
Gallery?
train, my main coach is Mark Montoya.
Oh, you go over to Factory X?
I train, I strike
Or
there, and
stand-up.
they wrestle at our
Good, that'll be good to talk about.
So, and I know, in Kamosi, I just sent him out to my
Hey, you know
jiu-jitsu
what?
coach. My jiu-jitsu coach, Diego and Daniel Marias, they're 5-time world champs out of
Sound
Rio.
good?
So when
Excellent.
he came down,
Except for no shit.
Rio.
Rio.
Yeah, no foul
Oh,
language.
sorry.
He caught it just in time.
ESPN, I mean. ESPN
But the
usually
FM
has-
dial.
I don't usually have to watch my language on ESPN, do I? Well, not the. You see,
Well, no,
I'm
'cause
usually
it's-
on video.
It's tape.
Yeah,
I'm not,
yeah.
I'm on video. I'm not usually
No, it's
behind it.
live, yeah.
That's when I'm talking shit like this. You know, you can't see me.
Yeah.
How many 35ers want a piece of me?
Yeah.
Don't miss this sale. Imagine a new 2012 GMC Sierra XLE 4x4 extended cab with PowerTech package. This is one nice truck, and the year-end blowout can save you up to $12,000. Imagine what you can do with $12,000. Don't miss this sale. The 2012
much.
GMC blowout sale. Transmisters, GMC VR professional grade.
You guys train tonight at Rhino Sport Gallery?
Yeah, they're training right now.
We actually had a camp this weekend, so
Wow.
we've been going crazy.
Sunday
this
night,
weekend.
huh?
Yeah, that's the best nights for wrestling for kids.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like dads watching football, bring their kids over to wrestle. And in our gym, you can sit up and watch football, get online. And we have a second story, so there's a big piece of glass as big as this room. And it's one-way glass, so you can't see your kid. You can see your kids, they can't
They
see you.
can't see you. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Because some of these dads, you have to end up telling dads if they don't.
Oh, I know how that works.
See how a phone app will increase your business and revenue.
The MMA gym's gonna have that soon. You know, what the dads want to butt in.
Oh, I'm sure, man.
It's coming. Yeah.
That's when I give the city you want to spot from there.
Yeah, I can.
I'll just get that.
All right, 10 seconds, guys.
American Ground and Pound and Mass Destruction MMA are the best in the biz. Check them out on Facebook and Twitter at MassDestructionMMA.com. MassDestructionMMA.com.
1023 ESPN.
Back on MMA Meltdown, 1023 ESPN, Steve Alley, Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, special guest in the studio, former featherweight champion of Bellator, Mr. Joe Warren.
Baddest man, baby.
Let's talk about our newest sponsor right here at MMA Meltdown, Rhino Sport Gallery. Man, you talk about great youth wrestling program. Parents, do you have a youth that would like to wrestle and learn it from the best? We got one of them right here in the studio, Joe Warren, former University of Michigan wrestler. Can pretty much, probably forgotten more than most would ever know, just so you know. Tuesday, 6 p.m., kindergarten through 8th grade, 7 p.m., 9th and up. Thursday, 6 p.m., kindergarten through 8th grade, 7 p.m., 9th grade and up. And they do it on Sundays. A great night, they say. at Rhino Sport Gallery, 2 p.m., kindergarten to 8th grade, and then at 3 p.m., 10th grade and up. They're at 3595 Wine Coop. Give them a call. Get a pen. Write this down. 720-379-7650. 720-379-7650. Or you can call Brian Piasecki at 719-447-7199. Welcome, Rhino Sport Gallery, newest sponsor right here at MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN. On the line now, very, very pleased to have with us UFC veteran, recently won his fight in Brazil, Chris Camozzi. Welcome to the show. Good. Hey, man. Wow. Super that you won your last fight in Brazil. Could you tell us about that? What was the experience like, and had you ever been there before?
No, I've never been to Brazil before, but the experience was awesome. I was on a little bit of that negative end of the stuff, but
Was it everything that you thought it might have been? What were the highs, and maybe one of the things that you walked away from that and said, that's not exactly what I expected. It might have been different in some way or another. Could you tell us about that?
Chris, you still there? I think we lost him.
I think we've lost Chris Camozzi.
But I can answer a question for Chris, teammate is. He wasn't, he's not used to fighting overseas,
Have you been to Brazil?
Yeah, I won the
How was it?
Pan American Championships there in 2007. I think it was good stuff, man. But
okay, we got him back, Chris Camozzi. Did you hear that question? Hey, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I was answering for you, Chris. This is Joe Warren. What's up, buddy?
Hey Chris, how you doing? It's Tom Johnson. How you doing? Hey, congratulations, man. Hey, you were talking about the crowd and being on the back end of the booze, which you're not used to because we see you fight here all the time and everyone loves you. But after the fight, after you won, how did the crowd treat you differently? You didn't know what they were saying.
That means you did the right.
Now, for those who didn't see the fight, why don't you tell everyone who you fought and how you ended up winning?
Chris, right now, I believe your record would be 18-5, and now you've moved your record to 4-2 in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So my question is, have you spoken with the powers that be at the Ultimate Fighting Championship to determine where you're at, what your next move or opponent might be, and when?
No, not yet. After this last one, I'm at 5-2 at the UFC, and then and safe if you count the Ultimate Fighter.
6-2.
I always count, even though they don't make it official. But I broke my jaw in that fight and still won, so I count it one of the hard-fought wins to me. I don't know what's up next, but I'm hoping for a bigger name and on the main card. There's guys out there that I think are great matchups for me and really exciting fights. So
you're still under contract with them, and for how many more fights? Can you tell us?
Yeah, I have, that was the first one on my new contract, so we got 3 more before we re-sign again.
That's fantastic. You know, I'm really proud to tell everybody this at any given moment, that you were the first ever light heavyweight champion of Kickdown Mixed Martial Arts, and you secured that victory over Spencer Hooker at the Budweiser Event Center at Kickdown number 37. So it's something I'm always proud of. You started with us, and I wish you the best, not only now but in the future. And I think Mike Larita would like to ask you a question if you can.
Hey Chris, Mike Larita, how you doing, buddy? Oh, nothing. Just having a little fun here. Hey, I know you were scheduled on that card here in Denver, that UFC 150. You got dinged up and moved back to 53. And what did that do with your training and your prep for your fight?
I'm always training full time. Yeah, it's my job. So when I finished fighting, and then I went to New York, and when I got back, the next day I was training again because of that card. So I just kept training through, but I was able to keep my weight down there full time. Unfortunately, I ended up hitting my shoulder. I think it was 2 weeks out of the fight, and it was just real sore for me, and I didn't have a lot of movement there. So we had to make the decision to pull out of the fight. But right after I got through the training again, I was back training full time, and I've been training full time all the way through until this last fight.
And I was down at Factory X a lot last year when I was getting ready for my fight, and I know you train every day and you're teaching class every day and you're working really hard at it. I commend you for that, and it's a great thing to do for you.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I get to do this for a job and teach classes. It'd be for that job or anything else that I could be doing right now.
I'll trade you for a few days.
Chris, I've got a question for you. You were on The Ultimate Fighter, and you fought now 7 times in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and the one that you made mention of where you broke your jaw. And I think really that furthered your career within the UFC because Dana White dug that. Do you go places now and people come up to you outside of Colorado and say, hey man, you're Chris Camozzi, I've seen you in the UFC, or has that not happened yet?
Hey, I got a question for you, Chris. How does it feel to train with the baddest man on the planet every day? It's pretty awesome, huh? I don't have any real good questions for you, so that was it. I see you every day, so Yeah, I mean, I've seen Chris improve so much in the last 2 years since I've been around there too. I mean, just the attitude and the drive to make a push at that title. So I believe that the UFC organization loves him a lot, and I think that we might see a title shot here in the next year.
That would be phenomenal.
That'd be awesome.
Not only for him, but for Colorado and for mixed martial arts. We're going to have Mark Montoya on later in this broadcast. Chris, just give everybody a little bit of a taste of what he's all about. Hey, the people that you just made mention of, Chase Hackett, Nick Macias, yourself, you've also got a brother that is a pretty doggone good fighter as an amateur right now himself. Can you take credit for that, or is that done throughout your entire gym?
Yeah, I just watched him spar on Friday, throwing heavy hands. Hurt his knee a little bit. Now he's feeling a lot better. So yeah, he's been improving. Everybody has.
Chris, is that weight the weight that you want to stay at? Is 185 the place you want to be?
Yeah, 185 is good for me. I don't think I can go any lower than that. I don't really sucked out. There's times I'm walking at 215, I'm a little heavier now. So as of right now, it's a good way for me. In the future, I don't want to get any bigger. Maybe I'll go up, but I don't think I'll go like that.
Our special guest right here on MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN, UFC veteran and really on a roll, Denver's own Chris Camozzi. Boy, you've come a long way in your career as a mixed martial arts fighter starting out here in Denver. So before you go, tell us who you think your toughest fight to date might be, whether it's in the UFC or otherwise. Tell us who that might be, the one that sticks in your mind the most.
This last one is going to stick in my mind for a little bit. I think I underestimated the weight gain a little bit. And he brought it to me. I think I broke my nose in the fight. I did it tomorrow. That's the first time fighting like that one. But other than the weight gain, I've had some other tough fights. I would say Joey Diaz-Canelo after that.
Very good. Hey, we wish you the best now and always, and thank you very much for being with us, and much continued success to you.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Chris Camozzi right here on MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN, and you know what? Another showcase fighter from Denver, which there's a lot of. We got one right here in the studio. Chris Camozzi, good attitude, trains with a good school, a good stand-up guy, and surrounds himself with good people.
He absolutely does, and he's just a class act. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. If you didn't know he was a fighter, if you weren't sure of that, you would never guess that guy got in the cage and beat people up for a living.
Yeah, I constantly tell him he needs to be more of a jerk, I mean, he's, fighting's not nice, man, and he's a nice guy. But he turns it on. You got to get the attitude sometimes, or it's you or me, that's what it is. It's two men locked in a cage,
And if people didn't see the Ultimate Fighter when he fought there, Dana White loved that.
Still loves him.
Yeah, still loves him. Brings him back,
talk with them all the time about him.
Yeah, and I think when you make that statement, hey, you've got to have a little swagger and a little savvy about you. And in that instance, we had just talked about this right off the air about you got right timing. And
think about 6-2 in the UFC. I mean, that's a ridiculous record. Go out there and find other guys 6-2 in the UFC.
That's right. They have guys that they stick around that don't fight with that record. That's right. I mean,
I'm just saying, he's a young guy, and just like UFC and Bellator, they find young guys and they try to build them. And it's not usually a job where you can build a guy in the UFC, and they've built him up, and so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and how old is Chris Camozzi?
I think he's 25.
He's young
still.
Yeah.
That is young. You're listening to MMA Meltdown right here on 102.3 ESPN. Right around the corner, we're going to have round number 3 here with Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, Steve Alley, and our special guest in the studio, Mr. Joe Warren. We'll be back around the corner right here.
Tuesday, 102.3 ESPN.
He's almost as young as my girlfriend.
Hey, hold it. I couldn't say this on the air because I know there's people listening. Have you seen Camozzi?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I know.
When his brother.
That's fiance now.
Yeah, she's cute, man.
Hello, smoking.
Yeah, she's a good-looking girl, man. And that Jeff Cisneros was trying to set up a fight with my nephew and Maurice's brother. And no, he is not ready for that yet.
You know, his brother has a difficult time finding people. And, you know,
Well, that's what happens.
And they're smart.
I mean, we never even talked about that, but I mean, being a pro and semi-pro, I mean, shit, now I would definitely probably do some
Would you?
I mean, I
got
thrown in deep. That's only 3 years
Kid
ago.
Yamamoto, your second fight.
Yeah, but I
That's
still don't
amazing.
have. Yeah, but I still don't have 10 fights. You know?
Chase Beebe, Kid
Some of
Yamamoto.
these guys.
How'd you do against Yamamoto?
I beat him. I just, and those were 110, 1-5.
Yeah.
You know?
I was in Japan.
Yeah, my first 3
Hey,
fights.
how
were
was
dreams.
Japan? I'll ask you that.
Yeah, I mean, they were great. I'm used to competing overseas, you know, with everything I've won in wrestling.
Sounds awesome, guys. Real good. Now we've got Mark Montoya on.
And he's my striking coach too.
Okay,
He's in my
so
corner
we're
last
going to
year.
go 15 minutes on this round. Is that how much time we have?
And actually, it's up to you. We can work that out.
We can stretch it 20. So I want to talk to Joe, and we'll do about 5-6 minutes with Mark Montoya.
Okay.
And then we're gonna talk with him. And then
and then we do the wrestling.
then we'll do the
I'll
wrestling in
wrestle
round
him.
4.
Round 4.
I'll
I just
wrestle
had
him.
my shoulder fixed.
Yeah, it's cool. That's how I want to do it.
Yeah.
I like wrestling women or hurt guys.
Yeah.
Well, what Tom and I really prefer, and he taught me this since he's my sensei, is women and no cup rolling.
Yeah, no cup rolling.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Hey, how'd you like your spot for Rhino Sport Gallery?
What's that?
Did you hear it?
Oh, that was great. Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Man, once again, fellas, lots of fun, huh?
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I've had to cut Joe's mic a couple times because I figured he was going to go with the F-bomb.
Come on.
These mother...
After you told
No,
me,
man, I'm kidding
After
you.
you told me I couldn't do it,
Hey, I'm kidding you.
Professional
No,
at that.
Dana White. Are you a fighter or?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Hold up your Yamamoto
it's a
fight.
month into it, you know, a month and a half into fighting. And he was at the point undefeated.
He looks, what round is this? Round 1 in the world. He looks gassed now, maybe in round 1.
I took him out a bunch of times.
Just so he was getting
Well,
the
that's
other way on.
8 minutes into the round.
Oh, that's right. It's a 10-minute round. Yeah. Never mind. I was like, dude, he looks tired for being in there for 3.
And then he was undefeated at this point.
Now, this one was like pride rules, so you can stomp on their heads.
Yeah,
and stuff
everything
like
is
that.
a dream.
You couldn't elbow though.
You can elbow.
You can elbow and dream. Kind of pride you couldn't
You
elbow.
couldn't elbow on the ground sometimes in the tournament, but this is different rounds in the tournament. This one, no.
What's your record now?
72, 66.
Who was the 2?
I
Pat Curran.
lost Pat Curran, Lexi Vila, and they had a stoppage in this tournament against Viviano Hernandez.
CCF takes on its competition in an epic battle to provide customers with the best checking and savings products possible.
Which was bullshit. So I'll fight him again in the next 3 years.
How's it fighting the Japanese guys? Like, 'cause they don't have wrestling's not big over there. How do they handle it?
Well, he
I'm
was
gonna
in the
say this
US,
round
he's
3
state
right here
champion.
on
Yamamoto?
brought to you by American Ground
They don't-
and
I
Pound.
know
Then
wrestling,
you just
they don't
start
have,
talking.
like,
Go by
What's the wrestling programs and stuff
By
like that?
Master
Yeah.
Destruction.
Yeah.
Like a
And then you start talking
Okay.
right after that.
All
When
right.
you're done, then I'll intro Joe Warren as our guest.
Professional fighters
Okay?
or mom
Yep.
and dads looking to lose weight. Programs offered include boxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, cardio kickboxing,
Hey,
MMA.
30 seconds.
Fighters ask about the huge
You having fun?
discount you get when you join the American Top
50,
Team
you talking to me? Yeah.
Yeah, you.
I keep thinking you're talking
No,
to
man,
him.
you.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, you. You having fun, Tom?
These are good, man.
You know, we've only been on for 33 minutes.
I know, man.
It's awesome.
Kenny's Market, Zions, the official energy drink of the UFC.
There's a lot of people there, man. 58,000. So many people.
MMA Meltdown 1023 ESPN. Brought to you by Mass Destruction.
Mass Destruction MMA is your clothing company with the best gear at the lowest prices. We sell both Mass Destruction MMA and American Ground and Pound. Check us out at www.massdestructionmma.com or on Facebook at American Ground and Pound and Mass Destruction MMA, or on Twitter at MD_MMA. like I said, the best quality gear around, and you won't beat the prices. Currently, we're selling a pink Real Fighters Wear Pink t-shirt. There's a design on the front and the Real Fighters Wear Pink on the back for $15, and $5 of each sale is being donated to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. So pick them up, once again, massdestructionmma.com.
Beautiful thing, Mike Larita. Mass Destruction t-shirts, $15, and $5 of that will go to the Komen Foundation to help the awareness against breast cancer. It's a great cause, so check them out. massdestructionmma.com right here on MMA Meltdown. And Mark Montoya will join us right here on round number 3. Mark, Steve Alley, Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, and Joe Warren right here on MMA Meltdown. Welcome to the show.
Good to hear from you, big man. See you tomorrow.
Hey, guess what? Joe just told me off the air that Mark Montoya can't strike right now because we're not in person, so that's a good thing, right? Hey, Mark, tell everybody about Factory X and your role there, because you have some great fighters there. We just talked to one, Chris Camozzi. You've got Brian Camozzi. You have Chase Hackett, Nick Macias, and a host of others. And then when he wants striking, he goes over there, and that would be none other than the former featherweight champion himself of Bellator, Joe Warren, right here in the studio. Tell everybody about Factory X. What do you specialize in? You talk about Muay Thai. I know that you have MMA fighters there. When somebody walks in the door, where does Factory X stand above others, perhaps in the Denver metro area, than other camps?
Hey, how you doing? This is Tom Johnson. How's it going, man? Hey, doing great. Hey, Chase was outstanding in his last fight, and I've seen him fight many times. I noticed just in the last few fights an improvement in his striking and mixing things up, and he actually knocked the guy out with a spinning back fist, I believe, in his fight. But what kind of stuff do you have, drills and training do you have for fighters who are already at that level and you're trying to push them to the next level? What kind of training? What kind of what do you do to take them up to that next level? They obviously have a background. They know how to strike. They know how to fight. but everybody does. Why are your fighters that one notch, that one level above? What's the secret?
You know, I think the biggest thing is just the guys that come in are willing to learn. You know, I think if you come in and feel like you know it all, it's not the best gym for you, definitely. And you know, got to be coachable and willing to learn. And the base that you have is great, and we're just going to try to make you a better fighter. And I think the big thing that we try to do is I don't try to change these guys and make them fight like me. You know, I want to see them have their own style and incorporate their strengths and help them with their weaknesses. And you know, and I don't speak the intensity and just the overall schedule we put together for these fighters. You know, I've learned a lot over the years, and I never act like I know it all either. So you know, there's a lot of communication between me and the team. And you know, if Joe tells me, for example, hey man, I need more of this or that, then I'm going to listen to him and we're going to do it. You know, I don't try to pretend to know it all and just sit there and tell these guys you're going to do this and that's the end of it. So I think it's a give and take both on the coaching side and the fighter side, and I think that's what's making these guys successful and the gym successful.
Tell everybody, Mark, where you're located at Factory X so they can perhaps come and check out a session and see some of the great fighters that you have over there and maybe get in some training with a good stand-up coach such as yourself.
Yeah, you know, we're located off of Santa Fe between Bellevue and Union on the west side. It's a pretty accessible location. You can go online and check it out at factoryx25.com. You can find all the information you need, and we'd love to, whether you just want to come in and train and learn and stay in shape, or you know, you want to fight one day, or you're a fighter now and you feel like it might be the right fit, we'd love to at least meet you and see if it is the right fit.
Yeah, and if you're a 135-pounder and have a mouth guard and some insurance, you want to come over and start sparring, I could use some more partners. You know, I run through partners. I break my toys, Mark says. It's a little too easy.
Yeah, you know, that
So,
tends to be a problem. You know, but I will say that in time, you know, taught Joe that 200%, you know, you got to just dial it down to at least 100.
And nobody get injured, right?
Yeah. I think that's the wrestling mentality. But on top of that, I think it's I just think it's Joe. So that's the good thing and the bad thing. So we try to morph that a little bit. But Joe's come a long way himself. And it's a pleasure training guys like him, Chris, Chase, and Marcus, and all the guys you have in the gym, Brian.
Very good. Well, hey, much continued success to you and Factory X and all the people there. Thanks for being with us right here on MMA Meltdown this evening, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, and just one piece of warning, don't let Joe fight you.
yeah, but these guys aren't tough enough, man. They need a few more guys like this in this room to hold me back.
There you go. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, see you later.
Mark Montoya, one of the lead instructors at Factory X right here in Denver, Colorado. You're listening to MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN. He's been in the studio with us all night, stepped in and talked a little bit about various things, but now we're going to really get in depth with former Bellator featherweight champion Joe Warren. Glad to have you here, Joe. Man, I look at your resume, and it is, I don't have enough time to go through everything here. Born October 31st, 1976, so that could be Mr. Halloween.
No, that's what's wrong about all these. That's why I never read that. I was born on the 13th. You know, that was
they
last
got
week.
it wrong.
I know, they get all that
13th.
wrong. I constantly say that, you know. I didn't do that.
Former Michigan wrestler, former champion of Bellator, and then you're going to fight also in November at 135, not 145. You're 7-2 professionally, and many accomplishments as a wrestler, Greco-Roman. You fought in Dream. Tell everybody a brief description of your background, who you fought, how you started, and go from there.
Yeah, you know, background from Michigan. I'm a hardcore wrestler. That's what, you know, coming up in the Midwestern, coming up, won everything from state championships, hold national takedown records, went to University of Michigan, was two-time All-American, you know, University national champ, and figured out that I was going to come over to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado, moved here, wrestled, switched over to Greco-Roman, won a bunch of stuff, Pan Am's, World Cup, World Championships, and then switched over to fighting. And then
Well, hold that thought, Joe. We're going to come back around the corner and get into round number 4 right here on MMA Meltdown, and we're going to take a break. You're listening to 102.3 ESPN, MMA Meltdown. Around the corner, Joe Warren.
102.3 ESPN.
They told us to break.
Yeah.
We had as much time as we needed and no break.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I thought we were going to have about 10 more minutes.
I thought so too. That's all right. What year did you win the World Championship?
In 06.
Pan American World Championship?
No, World Championship.
I won a World
Pan
Championship.
American and World,
Pan
right?
American is different, and then the World Cup's
I'm
different.
just looking at your bio.
Different years, you know, like.
Yeah.
All right, we got Spencer back in. Our producer.
Good.
Well, the Worlds are. I always hear from these guys that Worlds are the toughest because
Yeah, because,
everybody's there.
Worlds, every country can enter one guy.
Yeah.
You know, and Olympics, you have to qualify. So if you win 2 matches in the Olympics, you're in the finals.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's an easier road to winning is Olympics. You're gonna fight. You're gonna maybe wrestle harder. Maybe you might get one guy that's not a medalist, but at the Greco-Roman level, most guys that are #1 in their countries are medalists.
Yeah.
Okay, so we won't take any calls this next segment then, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right, we'll take them.
And then we'll take them after in round 5. We'll push that hard, right?
Okay. And then how many pairs of tickets?
It's a 4.
4?
That's it.
Okay, nice.
Anything you want to add, Tom?
And then did you want me to get Jeff on the phone?
It doesn't matter. He didn't say.
Okay. Well, I know Keith put all over Facebook that they were going to call in or something,
Well,
so I'm
that's
not
fine
sure.
if they want to call in.
30 seconds.
If they're listening, they can call in.
Okay.
That's fine. If not, I'll just kind of go through it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Talk about.
A lot of people don't know him. We're just trying to make
Yeah, you
people
know, and
familiar, right?
they will, you know, like I said, you know, just like they found out who Trevor was.
Yeah.
This, you know, you gotta understand, Mark's got guys winning every league. No one else in this town does.
Yeah.
You know, Trevor, good friend of mine. You know, I still go help them over at Grudge. Yeah, Grudge a lot. You know, but it's a different type of deal there. You know.
Yeah.
They work with younger guys really well. I have a chemistry with Mark.
This is Chris, the Hammer Holland. Hey guys, this is Mark Montoya from Factory X. You're listening to MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN.
Welcome back, MMA Meltdown, 102.3 ESPN. Steve Alley, Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, joined by Joe Warren. Been fun to have you, Joe.
Yeah.
Now continue with the ongoing resume and tell everybody about Joe Warren. And point out to those listening, he's not shy about it. He's going to let you know who he is.
The baddest man, baby. You can't call yourself that if you don't believe it. But no, yeah, just wrestling background. Then I started fighting. You know, after I won my world championships, and it's been in the last 3 years. It's been a kind of a roller coaster. You know,
But you talked about how you started. You know, off the air I said, hey, did you fight as an amateur? Tom asked you the same question, and we were surprised to hear how you started, who you started with, and I'd like you to tell everybody how that all happened.
With a little background, when I moved to Olympic Training Center, you know, the guys, my captains on my team was Dan Henderson, Brandy Couture, Matt Linlin, some of the best
Van
fighters
Arsdale's
around.
down there too, right?
Huh?
Mike Van Arsdale.
Oh, yep, Van Arsdale. I mean, a lot of guys that you don't think about. So when I got here, these guys all were taking over fighting while I was training. So I remember I was in Aspen snowboarding, got a call from Henderson. He's like, Joe, he's like, I got a fight for you in Japan, and I'm like, well, I'm not a fighter. I told him. He's like, they're $30,000 to show up. And I'm like,
I'm a
all
fighter.
right, great, man. When is this?
I'm
He's
a fighter.
He's like 2.5 weeks away. I'm like, I don't know how to fight. So I remember I took a plane that next morning down to Southern California. We trained for like a week and a half, and then we flew to Japan and fought in Dream against Chase Beebe. Just lost his WC belt like a month before that. So, and then that was tough fight for 10-minute and one 10-minute, one 5-minute round. So those, I mean, for fighters out there listening, they know what that means. I mean, and for me never to have my hands wrapped or ever wore a cup or anything like that, it was experience. I think 48,000 watched it, and I split his head wide open, hit him with a knee, like 15 staples. He couldn't come back out. I was so happy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I did.
48,000 people, and
Yeah.
you'd never fought before.
No.
Of course, who could fault you for the money? I mean,
Well,
that
that's
part.
the thing. I do things for money. This is a job for me, MMA. A lot of people, young kids, they're starting. This is their sport. My sport was wrestling. I have a family, and I need to make money. And right now, I can make more money fighting than I can working.
How long were you in the ring with Beebe for?
For 10 minutes, it's
So
right at the
30
end.
grand for 10
yeah,
minutes
yeah,
of
and
work.
then I fought Kid Yamamoto a month later, and then Bibiano Hernandez. So I fought some good guys first 3 months. Then flew back and had brunch with Bjorn in L.A. and signed for that Bellator tournament. So that first year I had.
Did you know who these guys were before you fought them? I mean, did you
No,
know who Yamamoto was?
well, I looked him up at the time. He was, pound for pound best fighter ever. My wife's like, I don't know about.
Yeah, would that have changed your mind though?
We're making
at all?
some cash, Let's whoop this. Let's whoop them. So it wasn't anything weird for me. I was used to competing overseas and competing against the best guy that country has in the whole country, not just some fighter. So this guy, for me, it was really comfortable for me to fly over, make weight in a different country, compete in front of a lot of people, and get paid and leave. That was a comfort. I still would almost rather do that. There's a possibility, get back over there and fight again.
It's a lot different in the U.S. than it is in Japan.
Yeah.
I've been told many times. I've never been to an MMA event in Japan, but tell everybody what that's like. I mean, it's amazing you started out that way and then to get here.
It's entertainment over there. You got to understand. That the more people they pack, 60,000 people in these arenas to see these fights, $400 cheapest ticket. These are big time things. So and it's prime time. They know you. They know you. So me walking down the street in Tokyo, I couldn't walk down the street without people just because I beat their #1 guy in their country. But I'll tell you, it's I like it over there. I enjoy competing in bigger crowds. It's different for a lot of people because when we're fighting on television, the UFC and Bellator, it's a television show. It's made for television. So it's not made for the spectator. It's made for the people at home to sit there and watch it. So it's a little smaller, a little more intense, a lot more things going on. But over there, it's a sport. Everyone's real quiet. Everyone's dressed real nice. It's just it's interesting to be over there. I like it.
So you put Chase Beebe on the losing streak, and then you come right back around with Kid Yamamoto. Was that much the same? Was that in Dream? And
that was in Dream, second round of the featherweight world championship. And he was undefeated and just had like a new shoulder and new elbow and new hand, like all metal. Okay, and I didn't know this, in the ring, and they're playing this 15-minute entrance for him, and they love him,
Sure.
I think he made I heard crazy numbers, like $1.5 million to lose when he fought me. This guy makes a lot of money, so. And I didn't know who he was. I just knew he was lighter than the other guys, and he was a wrestler. So.
Well, we were watching it off. You and I were watching it kind of
focused
during the break, and you didn't look nervous. You looked like you just were in there to fight. And
well, I'm used to winning championships. I'm being Olympic in the U.S., best in the U.S. You're used to this kind of battle. So I was just taking it as that. It was way tougher than it looks that I show up. It was. I didn't know what was coming. You understand? Never did jiu-jitsu before. Never get punched anybody. So. You never know what's coming next. He was a lefty. He had a big hook. Just tried to bite down on the mouth guard and get the job done.
For those listening right here on MMA Meltdown 102.3 ESPN, in the studio the entire show this evening, we're very pleased to have with us, you heard him, Joe Warren, Dream veteran, Bellator fighter, who will fight November 9th. Tell us what it's like or what you might feel about today's fighter and what they have to go through, because you never fought as an amateur. You made that clear. and 7-2 is a great professional record with the people you fought. That's incredible. And now you're going to fight at 135. Is that the weight you want to be at, or would you like to even go lower than that?
Well, no, I competed my whole, when I went at all the medals and everything for the U.S., it was at 60 kilograms, 132 pounds. It was light. 135 is very comfortable for me. I walk around 150, so it's very comfortable. 145, I was weighing in like 142. It was terrible. Guys were 30 pounds heavier, 7 inches taller. So, I would give everything I had, but, sometimes down the road, that's why there's weight classes. 4 rounds in, catch a knee, and there's not much you can do. But I think, different with the different kids these days. If I'm coaching a kid now in my gym, even a wrestler, I'm a whole different story. I'm a guy that was used to win world championships, so putting me into that kind of situation was a comfortable situation for me. Not comfortable for a lot of people. A younger guy coming up, definitely, I'd throw him in some amateurs, and then if he's good enough, you got to take a bite out of fighting, fight some real good guys, and be one of the 1% of fighters to make money in this league. People don't talk about that,
So that's a good question. How many fights should a guy have, not in your category, because you were world champion in wrestling and you traveled around and you won world, Pan American, and so forth. How many fights should a guy have as an amateur before they turn pro?
That's what your coach is. That's where good coaching comes involved. If you got a stud on your hands and he's getting the job done first fight, you make some calls and get this guy a fight where he probably shouldn't be fighting this guy. People say. But what does that mean? Like me, you give me a chance, I beat the best guy in the world. Instantly I'm making money instead of waiting around for 4 years. Trying to get fights, ending up like we talked about before the show. I'm too good of a fighter for Denver now, so I can't fight anybody. I can't get fights. That's what these younger guys are getting. So for you to jump in with both feet, there's a way on that way too. You jump in with both feet. You do make those wins. You make a name for yourself. This is entertainment. This isn't always it's a sport, but it's entertainment also. So the more people following you, the more money you make, the more fans, the bigger shows you.
So a certain level of promoting yourself.
Yeah, so you get out there, you fight the guy, you fight me, you beat me. You got a name for yourself.
Joe, I've often said for the longest time, and Dwayne Ludwig pounded this down, Tom and I heard it many times early on with him, that a good fighter is prepared to fight on a moment's notice, and that's where opportunities are created. And you did that for yourself. I think, would you suggest that fighters go fight in Japan first? Because obviously they got the money.
Yeah, well, back in the day they did. It's not the same. In Singapore, 1FC is the next one, okay? And they're the ones with the cash. And I could see, whatever, I like to follow where it's good for my family, too. So that usually means cash, so. And they're paying a lot of guys at my weight, and I do want to fight Viviano Hernandez again. So if it's still with Bellator and having Bjorn, he always promises me that fight. But that's what we talked about with the coaches. You have a good kids in the coaching, you make that decision for the kid. If you have them go, I think earlier I heard somebody's record 20-20. That's ridiculous. If that guy's not, if you like to fight for fun, that's one thing. But if it's a job for you, you need to step up and get the job done.
You're listening to MMA Meltdown right here on 102.3 ESPN. You just heard Joe Warren. For Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, Steve Alley, we will be back around the corner for round number 5. Please stay tuned. Well, that's super stuff, Joe. That is just, man, that's entertaining.
Well, that's the funniest thing to me is because, you go, here's Kid Yamamoto.
Yeah, man, that's...
If you're an MMA fan, you're like, that's a bad animal. Yeah. He's just like, I'm just going to fight this guy. He keeps his ass.
Well, that guy had nothing on me, man. I was current world champ. Sure. And the hardest sport in the world.
Yeah, but a different sport. That's what amazes me.
Back in 90, guys.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I'm not denying that.
But that's what I mean. That's my mindset. Yeah. This is some guy that's good in his country at punching people.
Yeah.
He's going to stop me, this wrestler, from stopping him.
And that's what I was just saying. Being a world-class elite athlete, even though it's a different sport, it builds.
And that's what I'm saying. The guys I fought, Viviano Hernandez, 5-time action jiu-jitsu. This is a 5-time world champ striker. You know what I mean? It's just I'm fighting these guys, and I have no idea what's happening. I don't know. He's going like this. He's Muay Thai.
And I'd actually
He's
like
faking
to
it. I don't know
switch
if
it
I
up
look
like
at
that
his
every
sleeve,
now
he's
and
gonna
then.
punch me
Yeah.
in the
So maybe we
I
can
don't
join
know.
more, or maybe some of the other guys that they're coaches.
Sure.
So they'll become aware of them.
Viviano or Viviano?
Oh yeah.
And I really like the way this worked out for us. You know, yeah, I really want to push the Tom Step wrestling school. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what's happening next Saturday. So, oh, you'll have it here.
Right here?
This is ridiculous. They stopped this fight. I witnessed this is my second fight in one night.
So this is after Yamamoto.
This is the next
Okay, who'd you fight before Viviano?
No, this is my first fight of that night.
Oh, okay.
So 2 fights in a night,
Okay,
so
I
I
got
have
you.
to take the third. So he just got
You
surprised.
lost to Viviano, then you beat Yamamoto.
No,
So
that was his semis.
Okay, I got you.
But he's like, I talk a lot of shit to this guy, and I told him I was gonna kill him.
Great things.
He jumps up and tries to flying armbar me, and I grab him his collar and just smash him on the ground.
But then I could leave. Because, you know, I
So I
thought
just
this
broke
was really
posture and started punching him in the face. He woke up and rolled into an armbar.
Yeah,
I
I mean, it
turned
was
down
fun
the
for us
stop,
to see.
it blew the whistle.
But nothing.
What happened?
That
Now,
was
when
Desperation
his
breaking on national
MMA
television.
wrestling,
You can't have it.
class.
They stopped the fight.
They stopped the fight.
Yeah.
So this is bull.
But, you know,
There's a right time and a right place.
But, you know, so a lot of work prepared, you know, having to come in and think.
That'd be awesome if that happened on Bellator.
It'll happen.
Just been reading this.
Alright, coming back, guys.
Watch this, what he tries to. Watch this. This black number will change.
We're going to go to your segment now and talk about Sparta and your wrestling after a couple minutes.
Yeah.
UFC President Dana White. Hey guys, this is Brendan, the Hybrid Shop.
Ronda Rousey, and you're listening to MMA Meltdown on ESPN Radio.
Back right here on MMA Meltdown 1023 ESPN. Steve Alley, Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, and our special guest in the studio, Mr. Joe Warren. And I'll tell you, my dad had said it many times in my life, if you keep your mouth shut long enough, every day you will learn something new. And I'll tell you this, I've wanted to jump in a lot of times tonight while you've talked, Joe Warren, but by keeping my mouth shut, I've learned a lot of stuff here tonight. Boy, you have a career that is just exemplary, and I'm just taken back by some of the things
We're
that
getting
you've done.
another world championship in a few months. I'm gonna get 35 belt for Bellator.
I hope that happens. And
Oh,
hey,
it'll happen. I
now,
fight January, the tournament.
when that happens, I just want to ask you what I asked Joe Riggs last week. When he gets back to the UFC, I'm going to ask you. Don't forget us here. We want to have you back.
I have a gym here in town, boys. You know what I'm saying? This is where
Right
I
on the
train.
Sport Gallery.
Yeah. So I can bring a bunch of belts in here, throw them all over the place.
Very good. We'll
Yeah,
talk
be
a
a good
little bit
time.
more. We're in round number 5 right here. MMA Meltdown. Mike Larita, let's talk about Sparta. Talk about your charity in wrestling, since we've got such a great wrestler in the studio here. Let's talk about your wrestling charity. Take it away.
Alrighty, as most of you know, or some of you know, I am the head wrestling coach at Thomas Jefferson High School. We do a fundraiser once a year with Sparta Combat League, and it is to kind of host the fights with them. What we do is we get a portion of our ticket sales, and then we do a big raffle at the fights, and at the fights we will be selling the raffle tickets for $1 a piece, and we keep 100% of the raffle ticket sales, and we keep a percentage of our ticket sales. So it's great for us because then we can get our fundraising done in one day, and if you know anything about high school sports nowadays, it's as much fundraising as it is anything else now. So what we have the 170-pound welterweight tournament, and it looks like in the first round it'll be Steve Granieri versus Chris Holcomb. Steve Granieri is a 2 or 3, I believe, a 3-time state champion from Thornton High School. His dad is the head wrestling coach at Arvada West currently. Chris Holcomb trains up out of Trails MMA with Ed Herman and Ryan Schultz and those guys. That's another great wrestling gym. So that'll be one of the first round fights. The other first round fight will be Chino Montoya and Aaron Romero.
That ought to be a good one.
Yeah, that should also be a good one. This is going to be a good tournament because there's 4 guys can go at it. And, you know, hopefully after the last tournament a couple weeks ago, hopefully they're not going to hold too much back for the finals, and they'll be healthy enough to compete in the finals.
And after watching last week's heavyweight tournament, my question is, do you have some good alternates standing by?
Exactly, and that's what I mean. Hopefully they'll let it all hang out, but they also need to save something in the tank for a fight 2-3 hours later. And so we've got that. We've also got a couple of heavyweight bouts. I know Tibor Janik, he's a young 18-year-old kid, just won his last fight up at the Inked Out card in August, and he's going to be fighting Amos Elizondo. Amos is a kickboxer, good background. It should be a good fight. You then have, well, it says on the card Sylvester Mitchell, but Sylvester Mitchell got hurt. So there's a new guy going to fight Matt Larita, and for those of you that don't know, that is my son, and that'll be a heavyweight bout also. The guy's name is Kenneth Atkinson. We know nothing about him. Matt's background, obviously, being my son, he's a wrestler. He didn't have much choice. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know, if he hits like his old man or can take a punch like his old man. I don't know.
And now the date for this show, once again, tell everybody.
The date is Saturday, this coming Saturday, October 27th. It is at 2 o'clock at the Grizzly Rose.
In the afternoon, 2
Yes.
o'clock in the afternoon at the Grizzly Rose. Pretty cool because they're the only promotion really in the state of Colorado that does events at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
so you can go hang out there and then get on with your business and go out and have a good night. So you get in 2 things in the day, and you get to donate to a great cause.
Yeah, and starting at 2 o'clock makes it nice because it doesn't ruin your whole night. And the Grizzly Rose will be open again that night. They get that cage out of there, set it gone, and it's hopping there. So yeah, I know there's a couple of other good quality fights on the card. I know Justin Houghton is going to fight Ron Muir. Both of those guys, it's a pro fight. I believe it's going to be a Muay Thai fight. I'm not positive.
Well, Mir must have come up in weight, but he fought at the 4-man featherweight tournament Fight to Win
a couple of years ago.
And that was pretty good. Mir's a pretty decent little fighter in his own right, but Justin Houghton has come along. He only has 1 defeat in MMA. We'll see what happens.
I know both of these fighters. Justin's from Michigan, coached at our gym when he first came out here. Real good striker. Ron Mears, ex-training partner of ours at the Olympic Training Center down there. So the striking advantage probably goes to Justin. You know what I'm saying? And really, Ron's a 135-pounder. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know Justin's coming off a pretty good knee injury.
A terrible knee injury, almost a year ago.
So we'll see if he can kick.
Yeah. And but
no takedowns, and Ron's a wrestler, so.
Yeah, so saying
Ron,
that
make
now,
sure you put him off guard.
if Ron's listening, he's thinking right now, oh, leg kicks by the dozen? Yeah. Knee injury? No problem.
Yeah, no crap.
Yeah, okay. And one thing I do want to let the listeners know, we're going to, right now, if you call the Taco Bell hotline at 720-747-1023, we've got 4 pairs of tickets to give away for these fights. So here's your chance to get some free tickets. Give it a call, the Taco Bell hotline. Once again, 720-747-1023. I do know that they also are looking for a lady Muay Thai fighter at 145s to fight Whitney Gunderson. Whitney, and I know Justin Houghton and Whitney Gunderson because we've been working with them a little bit through Mass Destruction. So we've got some good fights there. Also, Randall Shuckman is on the card. That is Lacey's husband. Lacey just fought on the Invicta card. Randall's a tough guy. So, for a local event, it looks like it's a real good card. Sparta Sparta Combat League, they've really upped their game in the last year. Brand new cage, a nice octagon cage, and we'll have that going for Thomas Jefferson Wrestling. I'm hoping that we can get Joe Warren and some of the guys
And also again, you know, I'm looking for some 35ers with some mouth guards and insurance to come battle it out at the Rhino with me. So I'm gonna keep letting you guys know that.
Guess what? I've got a guy for you by the name of Nick Clem. I'll send him over.
Rock him over.
Great submission. Current kickdown 125 champion. He's gonna fight for the 35 title December 1st. Against Toby Lopez. I'll send him over.
Yeah, see, I'm not being a jerk here. I'm dead serious. You know, I'm looking for training partners. You know, I have Scott Jorgensen, Faber, Mendez, so many people in here training with us. But, you know, we got a handful of good guys at those weights, so let us know. Give us a call. Leave your number.
I really will. I'll send Nick over. He's a good guy. Hey, you're listening to MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN. And as Mike Larita said, give us a call if you've got some comments, questions for great fighter and super wrestler Joe Warren, who will fight November 9th in Bellator. 720-747-1023. Note the 1023 because we are on ESPN Radio. 720-747-1023. Before we get back with Joe Warren, a couple of things. Tyler Toner lost on Friday night a decision. Did anybody see that? I was busy with Kickdown 104.
I was over at Kickdown.
Where was it?
The fight itself, help me out, gentlemen. I lost my place here.
TV.
It was on Access, and all I heard at Kickdown 104, because you hear people talking, hey, what happened? Did you see the fight? Well, obviously I couldn't have, because I was trying to do my own event.
Yeah, it was a fight in Canada. I do know that.
Right, and on Access, and he lost a decision, and I heard it was a very hard-fought loss, and
sure.
That's too bad. I like Tyler Toner. I wish that things could turn around for him because he's fought in the WEC, UFC. Like to see him get back on track.
Yeah, you only get a few chances.
That's right. It's rough.
He's a great fighter. I know Tyler too. Trains at Grudge, you know, and he's a good wrestler. And you know, I you know, they're good people over there. I like them too.
The event, by the way, is called The Score, and as you made mention, Mike Larita, in Canada. Also, Justin Gaethje defeated Drew Fickett last night in 10 seconds by knockout. Former UFC veteran, Ring of Fire veteran, Drew Fickett. Gaethje, wow.
Gaethje is, you know, he
the
wasn't
real
a pure
deal.
wrestler. He's a funky kind of wrestler. Very hard to defend, very likes to throw, very awkward for people in MMA to face him. And now he's got some hands to go with him, obviously.
Familiar with him, Joe Warren?
Not very much. I'm not. Sorry.
Now, didn't he just hand Marcus Bad Intentions Edwards his only defeat
yeah, I know
in
who
MMA?
he is. Okay, so Marcus trains with me.
Right.
You know, and Marcus was an amateur. You know, I was bringing him out to Favors with me. We were doing a lot of stuff. So for him, that was his first pro fight, Marcus's fight. You know, so he fought as good of a fighter as it can come.
Yes, he did.
Guy. And I think that was one of the craziest fights I've seen in a while. I mean, that was the most trash talking during a fight I've ever seen in my life. Seriously, like they were talking trash back and forth. Like, come on, script. Like, you know, usually that breaks down as a ref. You know, it breaks down after. Oh, did you? They talked the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, I'd like to see them fight again.
Yeah,
you know, I give him credit, man. The guy that fought Marcus is a great guy. You know, I mean, he fought hard. He was a wrestler, hard nosed. You could tell.
Mm-hmm.
You could just tell. I mean, and Marcus is as tough as it gets, also.
Yes, he is.
So I mean, that fight right there could have been at any level.
Hey, I'll tell you what,
UFC
too. Marcus Bad Intentions Edwards is fighting a guy that not a lot of people know about by the name of Steven Simmons. Robert, his brother. Isn't that at that Sparta show?
Yeah, no, that's coming up in December, I believe.
The other one.
Yeah, that's a little bit later on.
That will be a good fight. Watch Simmons. He could surprise some people, but Edwards, like you said,
yeah, it was his second fight ever, you know, so.
You're listening to MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN. When we come back, more of Joe Warren and more of MMA and other things going on around the region. Please stay tuned and don't forget to call 720-747-1023. See you back for round 6.
Yeah, I never thought Marcus was going to lose.
Good.
That was awesome.
I never thought
Good.
Marcus would ever.
Good.
I didn't know what to expect.
I mean, I never
Here's
thought
what Tyler
Marcus would
Toner
ever
put.
for the tickets.
Here's what Toner put. Sorry, everyone. I wish I could go back and refight that one. I made a lot of mistakes. Hopefully, I won't make the same mistakes again. That's what Toner put on Facebook.
You know what I hate to hear as a promoter? I've done 116 events. When a guy goes down to defeat, you know what they do? They come up to me and they say, I'm sorry, Steve. And you know my line, Tom. I made this not famous, but it's my line. Don't ever apologize for being a fighter. It happens. You know, the undefeated guys, they lose. I say, hey, guess what happened? You just got out of the way what happens to everybody in their lifetime. They say, what's that, man? They say, you lost. You're going to lose. You got to lose once. Now you move on. How many undefeated fighters do you know in the world? There was only one, Rocky Marciano, and that's in a time that goes so far back, right? You're going to lose, right? Unfortunately, in my case, I lost all the time.
So it's 116, Steve?
This is my
I knew it was the 104 and they pulled the off
Yeah, 12
Hey, we got Maldonado on the line.
Real cool. This is
John Maldonado.
Okay. I'm not familiar. Are you familiar
No,
with John Maldonado?
He's fighting on the Sparta Combat card. You familiar with
This
him,
week?
by any chance?
Probably, but I don't know.
And I did a little.
Delgado's fighting Toby Lopez.
Oh,
inked out belt.
okay.
Well, we'll just have him talk about himself a little bit. And if we have
Oh yeah, I'll be able to talk to him
Yeah.
because Toby Lopez. I just made reference to Nick Clem.
I didn't know.
They're
I didn't
scheduled
know-
to rematch,
See,
kick
this is
down
what I was telling you
105
when
in
it comes
December
down.
because Lopez is the only loss on Clem's record. So that
I got his body right. Jumps up good. Both legs over the top of my head.
Well, we haven't had a chance to talk to people, so let's get that.
He went out. So I just pushed up and started punching.
Start pushing.
You know?
I was going to
Watch
say
me
that.
How'd you come up with your nickname, Joe?
I was I walked off the mat in China, I think, and I beat like 4 world champs and Olympic champs in the day to win it in one day. And I feel I'm like the baddest man on the planet.
That had to stick. That had to stick, buddy.
I love your interviews when you do that.
That
had to stick. Yeah. That's how you should have done
That's
your
what we should have done
one-liner.
the one-liner. Would you mind maybe doing it again at the end?
I'm the baddest man on the planet, Joe Warren.
I was standing for
I know you gave it to him, I just didn't know how.
And I was like,
Keith called in and he wanted you to
He
say
looks
something. Let me go
scared.
find out what it was.
Okay.
Look what he's wearing.
Yeah, we'll
You know,
say
like, I'm in a
it.
full suit. I'm like, this is not even gonna be a match like this. And he's like, what? I'm like, he goes, I speak English. I was like, so you can understand? I'm gonna kick your fucking ass tomorrow. And I dropped the mic like this, and just walked up the stage like this. And he was like this. So.
Oh, he just wanted to talk about the upcoming shows, the 9th and the 16th. But we can do that.
Yeah,
later.
the 9th and the 17th. We'll just that's real quick. We can hit that real quick. They've got some good.
Maybe could have
yeah,
broke
there's
it.
some
You
good
never know.
fights.
That's plenty of stuff for
Oh yeah,
customers. You
yeah.
think so?
Oh, I think so.
And then if you can't have Joe Warren in here, I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
big.
icing on the cake.
All right, back in 30.
Because, like I said, we'll get Joe, and if he's got, we'll get some of those guys out at the show, do some autographs for donation.
And like I said, Moses said he'll stop by.
Okay, I'll get a hold of
So
Chris.
that's
this
this
week.
Saturday?
First Saturday, yeah.
At 2
I'll
o'clock.
get a hold of Chris too this week then. See if he'll come by.
There's Lindsay. Did you see Lindsay? He's walking right down here.
1023.
Yeah, I don't think you guys know. Clinch Gear's in Denver. No, you know that, right? The people that own Clinch Gear. It's in Denver.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of money that day. Seriously.
Steve Alley back on 102.3 ESPN MMA Meltdown, joined by the Sensei Tom Johnson, the Coach Mike Larita, and the baddest man on the planet, Mr. Joe Warren.
You better believe it.
Joining us right now on this round number 5, John Maldonado, who will fight in Sparta this weekend against Toby Lopez for the inked out belt. His record 5-3. John, welcome to the show. Tell us about yourself, your fights, what to expect at the Grizzly Rose on Saturday at 2 p.m. when you take on Toby Lopez. So this fight will be contested at 145 or 135? So Toby, who usually fights at 35, is going to step up 10 pounds and fight you for that featherweight title, correct? Huh. Well, I have heard much about Toby Lopez, his wrestling background. He, by the way, at Fight to Win, handed kickdown champion Nick Clem his only defeat, so I'm interested to see how this one turns out on Saturday.
I expect him to be a wrestler, my ground game, just as good as for about 7 years, so, I'm very confident in my jiu-jitsu, so he's going to take this to the ground. I think,
Yeah, John. Yeah, John, what kind of record do you have and who have you fought? Yeah, yeah. Okay, and you won the belt up at that Inked Out event up in Brush, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I thought you fought on that Inked Out card. So. Oh, okay. So it was.
This
Lopez
is for
fought.
that belt,
Yeah.
correct?
Okay. Lopez, I believe, being a wrestling coach, I believe he wrestled at Fort Lupton.
Yeah, we hear things about him. Well, listen, John Maldonado, much success to you and good luck on that fight coming up on Saturday at Sparta, and you'll take on Toby Lopez for the Inked Out belt. And thanks for joining us right here on MMA Meltdown. John Maldonado right here this evening. Let's get back to the baddest man on the planet. Been a lot of fun tonight, Joe Warren. Also our newest sponsor right here at MMA Meltdown, Rhino Sport Gallery, and you teach there.
You better believe it, baby.
Hey, ask what let's talk about what people can expect when they come in and you're there teaching.
We're Midwestern wrestlers.
Which is bad already.
Which is bad men right over there. So, we're Big Ten wrestlers. We're all national champs and runners-up and Olympic runners-up, world champs. We got so many guys coming through there. It's crazy. So we teach youth MMA, youth wrestling, and that's what we want to really focus on, getting our Colorado youth good in wrestling, so when they do switch over to MMA at that time, they kick these other guys. Their technique is superior, and that's what we work on is technique.
What age can they start at,
They
Joe?
start, if they can walk. I have my son's 4, and Ryan's kids are 3. So we have lots of boys up there. So and I teach on Wednesdays. This is class for the pros out there. This is strictly pro class. All the Factory X guys, some grudge guys. Everyone comes. It's open. So it's I'm trying to help our Denver fighters. So it's called MMA Wrestling, and it's on Wednesdays at 12:30 noon. 12:30 in the afternoon. So, and what I do is teach wrestling, MMA wrestling. It's different than wrestling. It's completely different. You don't want to hit your knees. You don't want to get in a position where you're in trouble. So it's striking in the takedowns. And then what we do is we run like 3-minute goes or things like this for like 30-40 minutes. So these fighters also get the wrestling conditioning that they're not getting in these other gyms. It's a whole different thing. But the Rhino Sport Gallery, we're in the new spot in between Coors Field and the Coliseum downtown. And we're if you need to learn how to wrestle or want to learn how to win, that's where you come to get busy.
You're listening to MMA Meltdown right here on 102.3 ESPN. Hey, give us a call if you'd like to talk to Bellator champion and a super mixed martial arts fighter, the moniker baddest man on the planet.
Better believe it.
Give us a call. The Taco Bell hotline 720-747-1023. We'll talk about mixed martial arts. We'll talk about Bellator and Joe Warren's upcoming fight. And we'll talk about Rhino Sport Gallery, how you can get your kid into an MMA wrestling program. And now, Joe Warren, since you made reference to that, my 9-year-old boy who started out last year rather, and went 8-2 as a wrestler in his opening year, and he's a shy little kid. Now he's found Xbox. But you know what I'm going to do? Now that I'm looking at this schedule, Tuesday, 6 p.m., guarantee you, I'm going to bring him to Rhino Sport Gallery, and then we'll see how he starts putting it on these people out at Southlands. And I really am. I'm going to do that. His name's Colin, and I'm going to bring him down to Rhino Sport Gallery, and then I can say, hey, you know what? Colin Alley went to Rhino Sport Gallery, and look at his record now.
You know, it's something I've always said. These kids that are, the youth wrestlers, the high school wrestlers, you cannot miss that part of your training. If you want to go into MMA at some point as a youth and a high school kid, you should definitely be wrestling, because it's the best thing that could happen to your MMA.
Well, yeah, and wrestling is great because it's all different sizes, different weights. I mean, we're all different sizes, different weights, different lengths, but in all the techniques stays similar. So like it's just nice, and flexibility, and you learn mental toughness, and that's what we're really focused on in our gym. We all came from youth programs, end up going Division I, end up all real successful people. Why? Just because of wrestling. So if you have the right people focusing you into your young kid, your boy, I mean, we can get him a full ride scholarship in a few years. All he has to do is be focused and wrestle, and have some of us coaching and making those calls for him. So it's a recruiting tool.
Great information. Yeah, that's right. It's a spot for wrestling, and it's important in MMA. When we come back to round number 7, we will talk more with Joe Warren, joined by Tom Johnson and Mike Larita. Steve Alley, see you on the other side on MMA Meltdown 102.3 ESPN. Oh, good. It's pretty interesting because I got this kid that. Where do you wrestle? No. What's the Eagle Crest?
Cherokee Trail.
Cherokee Trail.
Buck. Jeff Buck.
Yeah, and Eric. I forgot his name, but my mind just went blank. Anyway, a shy little spindly kid that I didn't think he'd do it, and he went in there.
Callers calling in.
Yeah, but you got to understand, wrestling. Listen, like your dad, your generation, your dads. They're the stupid wrestlers, okay? They're the guys that were the hard-headed, bullheaded wrestlers. But then you guys went to college, and you guys got degrees. And now your kids, those kids brought up with a little bit more money, self-confidence, and the work ethic. So now you're seeing all of us now come from them. So you're seeing now we're used to going to Division I schools, making money. So now all these people at the top of the food chain right now are ex-wrestlers. I mean, it's hard to and the best thing about wrestling is the smartest kid wins, as I teach you. Okay, it's not the strongest. Look at me. I'm not strong, but I'll whoop the shit out of you. Why? Because technically I'm smarter than you. I understand wrestling, and I teach technique and philosophy. This is how it works. So be in these positions at these times in your sport. And I work wrestling different angles and the head rolling and things that you have never seen yet, because I'm the one that. And I want Bill to come now. It's not even you. It's bringing you and your coaches and just we sit around. I mean, and it's that's what wrestling gym. It's a wrestling gym. So you're sitting there and you're talking to me. You're talking to Steve Frazier. You're talking to Steve Navis. Some nasty.
Oh yeah.
And so now we all wrestle different. But my structure is what we're using. But it means nothing. All I want you to do is this. I don't care what you do after. And then you got to believe in winning. And we've had.
Well, that's what we've done because
anything ever happens.
School's been there 52 years.
I wish I would have wrestled, man.
We've won the last 5 league titles.
We would go.
In 52 years, they've won it.
I mean,
Well, see, and that's what I'm saying. If I could get the coaches together and then we're all just improving our teams. You know what I mean? And I don't understand with
one of the most important.
Hey, Bill. In this area,
He's not listening to you. He's on his way.
Why we're not winning the junior nationals? With the coaches we have.
With what we have in our backyard, Why aren't
It's
we?
because you guys are
Well,
stubborn.
it's
You guys
'cause
aren't
Colorado
asking for
USA
help.
Wrestling,
You don't ask for
yes.
help, man. You guys,
Oh,
it's your guys' fault.
man.
Okay, it's,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's your fault. but
No,
it's
I
your
know,
fault.
I know exactly what you're saying.
That's it.
It's
Back in 30, boys.
I was like 15 unanswered kicks to the asshole, I think, to that guy. That was my move for the first week. They'd lock up and I just knee him in the asshole until they let go. It worked. I couldn't believe how many people would sit there with their legs locked and still
How
take
many did he take?
It took 15 knees and asshole. I was like, I can't
Who
believe
was that
this.
guy? Is that Soto?
That's the luckiest win I've had.
Is that Soto?
No, that's Eric Lariat.
I got him. Coming back, boys.
You're listening to MMA Meltdown on ESPN Radio.
Are we done yet? What's going on here?
You got a little bit.
1023 ESPN MMA Meltdown, round number 7 right here on this live broadcast this evening. Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, the baddest man on the planet, Joe Warren.
Oh, yeah.
In the studio tonight, man, we have gotten a plethora, an education on wrestling, fighting from Joe Warren, and we look forward to his upcoming bout in Bellator on November 9th. A couple of things that I'd like to bring up, and we'll talk a little bit about this on this round number 7 right here, round 7 of 8 right here on MMA Meltdown tonight. John Jones, Chael Sonnen, new coaches for the upcoming Ultimate Fighter season number 17. I think it's pretty interesting. I know I can't say for a fact, but because the guy's supposed to keep it off the record, but we've got a couple of Colorado fighters on season number 17. I can't mention who. If somebody can figure that out, give us a call on the Taco Bell hotline at 720-747-1023. Don't forget the 1023, that is ESPN, and the call letters right here, 720-747-1023. If you'd like to talk about the upcoming Ultimate Fighter, talk with Bellator champion and world-class athlete and phenom wrestler at Rhino Sport Gallery, Joe Warren. You can ask him a question. We're very happy to have him right here. So Joe Warren, tell us, how do you like the matches with the Ultimate Fighter in season number 17 with John Jones and Chael Sonnen as the coaches? You've trained with Chael, you know him, and you've trained with him and Dan Henderson and my friend and buddy Matt Linland. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it's, television-wise, marketing, it's the best way to go.
Genius, don't you
Made
know?
for TV.
I mean, I helped Dan. I was his wrestling coach on the Ultimate Fighter he did. If you remember that, that was way back. That was right before I fought the first time, and it was good. But Dan's still a quiet guy. You know, Chael can run his mouth a little bit. It should be a real interesting season and episodes. You know, and that'll be a good fight also too. You know, Chael talked his way into another title fight at 205. So you know. Anytime I can see wrestlers making serious money, I smile and I'm all for it. So,
you know, I sat in on the press conference right here. MMA Meltdown was going to ask some questions, and we got cut short earlier this week. But listening, because they call out everybody, they say so and so from the Boston Globe, and then they had Ariel Helwani. What question do you have? And I was going to ask Dana White and then commend him for being a genius to get Chael Sonnen. Even though I have to say I wanted Dan Henderson, because I personally think Dan Henderson would stick it to John Jones.
well, that's what we were hoping
my
was going to
opinion.
happen. We were hoping that was
I
happening.
was too.
I mean, you know, also I'm plugging Clinch Gear. You know, that's my sponsor, and that's the main. And we're in Denver now. They're owned by and Dan Henderson started Clinch Gear. You know, he's the one that brought us in. They sold it now, so it's here in Denver. But Clinch Gear. You know that they're my sponsor, so I'm just throwing that out there. I'll just tell you. I mean, Dan's a hard-hitting man, hardest-hitting guy in the world. So I think personally, you know, Dan maybe lands a punch and that fight's all done. You know, but you know, Chael's gonna have to grind out a fight against a man that has not been grinded out, and I don't know if can get grinded out. So it's going to be interesting, and if not, it's going to be very financially good for both of them. So,
Yeah, that's for sure. So, hey, we've got Kelly on the line. Welcome to MMA Meltdown.
Nope, we lost her.
Hi, I'm Kelly.
I wanted to talk to Joe Warren. Hi, Kelly. Welcome to MMA Meltdown. Hi, Kelly. Uh-huh. How was it? Wait a minute. Hold it. Hold on.
You need to get out more.
Now, wait a minute. I understand being privileged, and I'll bet it was the best 2 years of your life. But
2 hours.
2 years. Well, it might have been 2 hours, but it probably felt like 2 years because he's such a legend. But you heard the interview that we had with him, and he doesn't like women in mixed martial arts.
Is that because you're pretty?
Yeah. I adjust positions a lot myself.
And that's a good thing.
He was nice to interview, and I really loved the accent. I figured as much, but it was good to talk to him. And actually, through Infinite and Adam Martinez, not only did we get Hoist Gracie on the broadcast last week, but also one of the other Gracies came to Kickdown 37 at the Budweiser Event Center, and then I was later in Virginia and saw him there and Adam Martinez when he helped him corner some fights. So, you know, there's a long lineage there with Gracie, and good for you, Kelly. I'm glad you got a chance, and it's good to hear that he's a nice guy and you had a good time at that seminar. Good. Hey, we wish you the best, and thanks a lot for calling in tonight. Take care. Hey, that's pretty cool. Kelly gets to go to the seminar of Hoist Gracie, and what more can you say about it?
And that is a very good school up there with Adam Martinez.
Look at all the champions they have coming out of there. Wow.
That's some well-trained people up there.
How about one? He's in Ireland right now, Nick Laney. Boy, I like him.
Yeah, I like Nick.
Yeah. Back right here on 102.3 ESPN. Hey, if you want to call in, talk to Joe Warren, 720-747-1023. Our newest sponsor, Rhino Sport Gallery. Go check him out. I'm going to take my boy in there, and I'm going to do it and see if I can get his wrestling skills improved. The guy you're fighting, Joe Warren, upcoming November 9th, Owen Evinger, 7-3 of them. Says here that he's lost his last couple straight.
Nice.
And you said, that's good. Kind of dangerous not knowing, but you said that you really don't look at tape. You really don't. Obviously you don't, because if you went and fought Chase Beebe and you had never fought in MMA in your life, you go to Japan. That's quite a heck of a story. You go to Japan having never fought before, and you go there, you get the victory, and then next up, hey, Joe Warren, we really liked you being here in Japan, so as a favor, we're going to give you in Dream this guy named, what's his name? Kid Yamamoto? No problem.
I remember he chose me. I was waiting, and like, oh, that won't happen.
I want Joe.
Whatever, things happen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Owen Evinger, I don't really know who he is. I know he's a fresh body for me to pummel on MTV2. It'll be my last fight on MTV2, and then I move over to Spike. So that's interesting for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of wars going on right now
Yeah.
between Bellator and Spike
There's
and the
no wars.
UFC
Yeah, you got, Bellator's-
and
yeah.
Fox.
Yeah,
I mean,
because-
it's a media thing.
Oh yeah, because Viacom owns Bellator, owns some majority rights now of Bellator, and Viacom owns all the cable networks and Spike and MTV and these things. That's why we're on there. So for us to move to Spike is real big, and and the UFC is they like to monopolize all their endorsements and all their television and stuff. So for us to move to a primetime station is really, really good for us. So I'm excited about that. But I'll get to break it off here, break off Evan, Owen Evinger's neck also in November 9th down at the Hard Rock in Miami. That's the first place I fought in this country. So pretty excited about that.
Cool place too. I mean, you get to go to Miami. There's a lot going on there, and
MTV too does great broadcasting. They're so good at it, So it's really exciting. Yeah.
Actually, I think I liked it better when the Ultimate Fighter was on Spike.
Yep, Spike's always. I mean, if
Spike's
everyone
really
talks
good.
about fighting, you talk about Spike. I mean, that's where we always turn to UFC on, right? Now the UFC's in, Fox, so we get that opportunity to slide in that
See,
spot.
they changed everything around. I like the Spike deal better when the Ultimate Fighter was
I
there,
did too, yeah.
and I think it's going
What's
to
that,
elevate.
FX now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's FX and Fox, and I liked it better the other way. How
Well,
about
it's
you
it's
guys?
it's, it's better for us, as fighters because it's bigger promotions. The Fox, come on, I mean, it's the Simpsons and then one of us fighting.
There
So
you
that's
go.
Pretty cool.
Hey, we're going to come back around for the final round right here on MMA Meltdown 102.3 ESPN. Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, joined by Joe Warren, Steve Alley. See you around the corner for the final round.
Forgot about the camera.
I hope so.
Not me. I've been playing with the camera the whole time.
I'm looking forward for
Good,
it.
thank
You were
you.
safe. I was. That was a clear view.
We're still on camera, so I'll just wait.
I'm better
Hi,
on
Kelly.
camera.
Well,
Hey, Joe,
Yeah.
can I go and get that one-liner from you?
What do you want me to say? Give me a rundown.
This is the baddest man in the world, Joe Warren. You're listening to MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN.
You tell me whenever.
Okay.
This is the baddest man on the planet here on MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN.
Perfect, man.
Or I can say
Do it
something.
over and say it. Joe Warren.
Are you ready? It's the baddest man on the planet, Joe Warren, at MMA Meltdown at 102.3. Shit, I can't say point. I looked up and saw the point.
I can't say that.
All right, you ready?
Don't say point, you're fired.
Sucker. Okay. This is the baddest man on the planet, Joe Warren, on MMA Meltdown, 102.3 ESPN.
Perfect.
There we go.
Hey, Spencer, are we done at 8 p.m.? Okay.
Now we have a Joseph Henley from MFC. He's going to be fighting in MFC. I didn't set it up, or he's just calling in. Joe Henley?
Okay.
MFC.
Yeah, Maximum Fighting Championship, remember?
Yeah, we just had on the his president last week.
Mark Pavlich.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I know that name.
I've heard it
We're
too.
trying to...
I'm thinking
thinking Don Henley and the
The Eagles.
Joe Henley?
Here, let me go double check on his
I'm
name.
thinking of Jesse Henley.
He hasn't fought in a long
he's
time.
a substitute teacher turned fighter. Joe Henley.
Introducing Joe Henley. Oh shit, I'm a real teacher.
Images.
We've got a lot of cool stuff at the Rhino right now, like my dentist. He wants to fight, man. He's a dentist. He's in Monument, but he wants to do a semi-pro fight. I mean, that's his deal. So now he's training full time.
Yeah.
Well, not full time, but a few times a
often
week
enough.
training, and he wants to do this someday. He's like, I ran a marathon. And I want to get a fight.
want to do that.
And
That's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah, it is Joseph Henley.
Okay, substitute teacher turned fighter.
Oh, yeah?
That's what it says.
Oh, nice. That should be
That's what it says
good.
here.
All right, back in 30.
We gotta hurry because we only got
Oh, yeah.
15 minutes left in the program.
Okay,
Anything we should touch on?
The Goins Automotive. We just got to do a shout out for
And
Goins.
It's on it's on that third page. I saw it was on there.
Just say Goins Automotive. It keeps your car going.
1023 ESPN.
What's his name?
Joe.
Steve Alley, MMA Meltdown, 1023 ESPN. Round number 8 and the final round on the broadcast tonight, joined by the Sensei Tom Johnson, Mike Larita, the coach, and the baddest man on the planet, Mr. Joe Warren. Boy, it's been a pleasure, Joe, to have you here on the broadcast tonight.
It's been fun.
This broadcast brought to you by Goins Automotive. Get your car going. They can help you out. Give them a call and they can help you out. Waive or cut most deductibles for insurance claims. Bring your car to Goins and he'll keep it going. Goin Automotive. They'll help you out. Well,
We're
on the
keep this
line
going.
right now. Yeah, we're going to keep this going, right? Keep
Select our
going
car
on the
at the
MMA.
Goins Auto.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, you
Goins
know,
Auto.
we just throw that in there.
Joe Henley, who will fight in the Maximum Fighting Championship, teacher turned MMA fighter, with us right now on round number 8, MMA Meltdown. Hey Joe, glad to have you. Tell us about your upcoming fight. Hey, you know, when you go out and sell people on sponsors, as fighters do from time to time, you could go with this. I am Joe Henley, and I am going to knock out my opponent. And then you can say, Elvis has left the building on a stretcher.
That's why he doesn't get a lot of money for his fighters right there. That's, you know.
Tell us about yourself, Joe, and tell us what people can expect. I think that's going to be on Axis TV, right?
That's outstanding. What's your record? Oh, nice. What's your background? What kind of what style of fighter are you?
Yeah, and where are you training out of? Okay.
Nice. Yeah, I know those gyms down there. I know Munoz real well. It's Joe Warren talking to you. I've been down at the gym. It's a beautiful gym down there. Rain. Yep. Is Chandler training there right now? Is Chandler training there right now? From the UFC? I mean, from Bellator? I think he moved out there also. I really like that gym. I think Munoz is one of the best wrestling coaches out there, I think, in MMA also. He's really good.
Hey Joe, I've got a question for you. Training in California and going to Canada, will there be any difference in the altitude as far as it's concerned there? Does that present any problem for you fighting in this title fight? We actually had Mark Pavlich on the broadcast last week, and he's an interesting guy. I had talked to him before, and his promotion, a good one, and it's on Access. Do you feel that that's going to help elevate your career? You've been on The Ultimate Fighter. You're a teacher turned professional MMA fighter. Where do you go, or where do you hope to go from here, or are you just content with winning the title in the MFC and see what happens? Well, good. We wish you the very best. Our guest right here on MMA Meltdown in the 8th round right here. He'll fight for the middleweight title at the Maximum Fighting Championship, and he is the former Ultimate Fighter, Joe Henley. We wish you the very best of fortune in your upcoming bout, and don't forget us when you win that. Come back around and we'll talk to you more.
Chris was on earlier
Yeah, he was
tonight.
on the show earlier, so you come on out here and do some high altitude training at the Rhino. You know, that's, yeah. Yeah, no problem. You just talk to Munoz, let him know he's got my number. You guys are more than welcome out here. Me and Kamosi are training a lot. His wrestling's getting a lot better. All right. Well, good luck,
you, Joe.
man.
Joe Henley, who will fight in the upcoming Maximum Fighting Championship for that middleweight title. 8-0-1. Glad to have him in. Eric is going to join us, and he's got a question for the baddest man on the planet. Go ahead, Eric.
Yep. Yeah, you know, those guys aren't using that name. The only person actually using it was Mike Tyson. UFC, they don't like how I use it so much, so they throw it out there with Brock and those other guys. But nobody grabs a hold of it. It's a tough name to call yourself, you know.
And note that those are all heavy.
Yeah, those are great guys, you know. Brock's a good friend of mine, so I just remember them calling him the baddest man. He was like, "That's not what I call myself." But yeah, I mean, I believe that I've fought the best, and I usually fight the best, and I've had kind of a career where I've been battle tested. So that came from after when I won a world championships once. They asked how I was feeling. I said like the baddest man on the planet, and it just kind of stuck with me, and I ran with it. But I think the infamous baddest man is Tyson. You know, he's the one that uses all the great sayings. So I take my hat off to him. But you know, I don't know about the other boys.
And he's not competing now anyway, so Joe can take that.
Hey, thank you for the call, Eric. Thanks for joining us here. Our special guest in the studio tonight, and we'll say it again, the baddest man on the planet. Boy, a lot of wrestling information, a lot of information thrown out. Don't forget, everybody listening, that if you want to get down and get some wrestling done, go to Rhino Sport Gallery. I'm going to take my boy Colin there, and if you've got a 9-year-old like I do, maybe a kid that's younger, maybe even a little bit older, Rhino Sport Gallery.
Rhino Sport Gallery.
Let's
Also,
throw the phone number out again. I'm going to do that. Our newest sponsor right here on MMA Meltdown, Rhino Sport Gallery. Call them 720-379-7650. 720-379-7650. 3595 Wine Coop, downtown. It'll be a good time. Hey, tell us how big the gym is. We've got a couple minutes here.
Yeah, the gym is about 6,000 square feet.
Wow.
Also, you women out there, we have women's kickboxing Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. And it's really more like a family type. There's jiu-jitsu. There, you can bring the family in there and get workouts in also. But had a good time tonight with you guys. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we can get somebody from the Rhino or from Factory XB in here and spit this stuff with you guys every time. I'd like to thank Clinch Gear again. That's a sponsor of mine. Cutting Edge Glass, all the Denver companies. If you're interested in jumping on my shorts for this next fight, you can contact the Rhino. But hey, had a great time, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Hey, real quick, this next comment brought to you by one of our sponsors, Zions, right here on MMA Meltdown. Junior Dos Santos has confirmed that he will fight Cain Velasquez again.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
I think it's nice, but give him a couple more title defenses and then make it bigger. I'm not a big believer in immediate rematches, never have been. I think that Cain needs to deserve that rematch. That's just my opinion.
Get a couple fights in.
That's right. Get 2 or 3 in. But hey, that's where it's at, and it's brought to you right here on MMA Meltdown by Zions, and of course Rhino Sport Gallery. Well,
that's great.
Parting thoughts, Tom Johnson.
No, just looking forward to that Sparta tournament this weekend. That's going to be nice. Crowd's always good. The fighters always come ready to fight, and looking forward to that.
Mike Clarita.
Yeah, one other thing about that, we're working on with Joe Warren on getting a few special guests in there to do some autographs maybe for some donations for the wrestling team also.
Yeah, don't forget, if Joe Warren shows up, that's going to be big enough.
Bring some belts. I think Jorgensen's in town that weekend for
Wow.
me, so maybe we'll come out and say hi to everybody. We'd love that.
So
Parting shots, Joe Warren.
Yeah, just everybody out there in Denver, man, I appreciate it. Mark Montoya, thanks for keeping my hands going. Thanks to Rhino. Wrestling's nasty, and that's where it comes from. And Clint's here, thanks boys, appreciate it.
Thank you. The end of the National League Championship Series. San Francisco Giants, St. Louis Cardinals coming up next on 102.3 ESPN. Been a great show tonight. Our special guest in the studio, Mr. Joe Warren. We also had Chris Camozzi, MFC fighter Joe Henley, Mark Montoya, John Maldonado. I'm Steve Alley, and for Tom Johnson and Mike Larita and our guest, Joe Warren, thank you for joining us right here on 102.3 ESPN and MMA Meltdown. We will see you live right here on the next show. So long, everybody.
Hey, good to see you, man. I'll probably see you at the fights. I'll see you at the fights. And be cornering those guys. Yeah, let us know, man. Swing by and come see. Bring your boy by.
Next show is December 1st at the Red Lion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, just all I gotta do is contact him here. Give me the rundown.
I will.
Great to see you. And
thanks a lot.